A survey was conducted to determine how people view Jesus Christ. The young people of today, a big majority, they saw no religious significance. It was another profanity, like another F word used when swearing at each other. So today you may have heard in movies and around, Jesus Christ, like swearing at people using the word Jesus. See, and the Latin liberation theologians saw him as a revolutionary. The rock generation, the people of the past, they saw Jesus Christ as superstar. And that is why they came out with a movie, a musical called Jesus Christ Superstar. The hippies considered him as a flower child because happy-go-lucky, just walking, moving, enjoying the air. The filmmakers of The Last Temptations, they portrayed him as an erotic Jesus, the sexual side of it. And the Mel Gibson featured him as a suffering Christ. The Gospels, today's Gospel also indicates to us a kind of a tussle between a political king and a political zealot. So we find that different sets of people clamor to own and to possess him. We all want to we want to fix Jesus' character. And what we like, what we want for ourselves is what we want to see in him. We are very comfortable with certain images of Jesus Christ. We don't want to see him in totality. We don't want to see what he is presenting of himself. We want we want him to be what we want him to be. And this is a struggle for many of us. We want a comfortable Jesus, a Jesus who consoles us, Jesus who provides for us, Jesus who always manja us. That's the kind of Jesus we want. But Jesus announced himself as the Messiah. He announced himself as a shepherd, as the one who came to serve and not to be served, to lord it, not to lord it over people. That was his. That was what he was communicating to his people. And when in him we see a caring king, inviting all to build a caring kingdom. His was not a kingdom of authority and power. His was a kingdom that cared and wanted to see everybody happy. There was certain joy in that kingdom of his. We may not have plenty, but there was joy, happiness. And there was something that we cannot buy. Happiness is something we cannot buy. And this feast is not about his state. It's not about his status. Oh, king, position. It's not about authority. It is about the reign of God, about the God of history, about his role as a shepherd. This king is a king who is concerned about his people, pastoring them, protecting them, providing for them. But today, what do? We have to provide for our kings. We have to take care of them. We have to feed them and fatten them. And that is the kind of situation we have. But here we find a king who cares for his people. It is about a God who reigns in our midst, a God present to us, to his people. And the signs of God's presence is seen. And that is why Ezekiel, the psalmist, Paul, they have a similar message. They saw God as the one who rescued the scattered, looked for the lost, bound the wounded, strengthened the weak, and who revived the drooping spirit. This is one side. Then they saw God as a shepherd who took over the shepherding of Israel when abusive, corrupted, idolatrous, self-prospering kings and leaders of Israel did not deliver. God sent kings, God sent leaders, judges to save his people, but they lost. They did not know that they have forgotten their role, that they were supposed to shepherd God's people. They began to lord over the people. And God said, I remove my shepherds. I myself will shepherd my people. See, it happens, and it has been happening right through history. Then we find God did not tolerate idolatry. When I say idolatry, means anything that replaces Him as number one in our lives. Anything. It's not just stones or statues, It's more than that. Anything that replaces the place of God as number one is idolatry. It can be money, it can be my career, it can be my, my spouse, or my children, or my car sometimes. Disregarding the, so and there were people who, he did not tolerate when people disregarded the covenant. Because the covenant, it means it's a contract. I choose to love God, God chooses to love me. And it's a loving connection. You find that you give it freely, just like a marriage. They commit to each other freely. No one is under compulsion. No one is forcing the other person to take the other person. In God, it's also the same. He offers that kind of a free relationship. You accept it, then all the way. Go all the way. No compromise. Okay? Don't let a third party to come in. So it works in that way. And you find that it's also a covenant not only to God, but also a covenant with the community, the people of God. So it's a two-way covenant. As I become one with my God, I must learn to become one with my people, God's people. It's two-way. That is why we call it the vertical and the horizontal relationship. Then we find slowly it began. God in Jesus Christ came as good shepherd for the lost, the little, the least, the lame, and the leper. Now God is revealing himself. The face of God is seen in Jesus Christ. The face of God is revealed in the good shepherd. And Jesus himself is the manifestation of God, the living God and the caring God. So we find that when the institutional religion, when I say institutional, anything that is organized, it can be the church also, it can be the Jewish religion, it can be the Islamic religion, it can be the Buddhist religion or Hindu religion. Anything that is institutionalized, when the institutional religion segregated or made people into outcasts, rejects, poor and the have-nots and the different, God sends his Son to gather the forgotten and the discriminated. And this was what was happening during Jesus' time. The people who are supposed to be cared for, they were beginning to live on the fringes. They were kicked out. They were never given that place in the temple. A religion that has become a religion of the rich and famous. But for the poor, no more. And that is why God had to send his own Son, the good shepherd. You go and shepherd and show them this is the way I want. So it's like sometimes you can ask yourself whether God is in that temple. Sometimes God may say, no, I'm not in this temple, I'm not in this church, They think that I'm there, but I'm not there. I'm outside. Because they never let me enter. And that might be happen. Many temples are beautiful temples, all hollow. Many beautiful churches we have, hollow, empty, because God is not there. And this can happen. Okay? So even in our hearts also is the same. Our heart is made for God. Our heart also can be empty of God. God is not there. So when God is not there, he's not my king anymore. I can be I can be like the living dead, walking without God. Walking without God. So here we find God also extends this work, not to just he himself. No. It's not God's work alone, no. He has now raised up more shepherds to be sent out into the field. The world is the field. And so, as we were shepherded, because God shepherded us, took care of us so well, he expects us to be shepherds, to be a reflection of him anywhere we go. And as we were blessed, he's sending us to bless. As we were saved, he's sending us to save. The whole purpose of God's work was to set his people free and to save his people. And that is what we are called to be. Christians are called to save. If we go against that and we don't attempt to save another, you find that somehow the God in us will die or the God in us will move out. See? So the last judgment account of the gospel is directed to all of us who claim to be his disciples. There is a time where we have to give an account. There will be a separation. Sheep, goats. On which side are we? So besides the 12, all disciples were called on the shore of the Lake Tiberias, just before Jesus' ascension, on the shore of Lake Tiberias. He asked Peter, do you love me? He said, I love you. If you love me, feed my sheep, feed my lambs. That is how we are judged. If we say we love him, then we have to feed his sheep, feed his lambs. It must take place. And this was not taking place. You find along the way we always forget. We want to be what they call think-keeping masses, going for communion, saying the little the Divine Mercy prayers. That will save us. Yeah, it will save us. It can save us. But very foundationally ask, if you love me, feed my sheep, feed my lambs. See? And today it continues. He says today's gospel reinforces that again. Central to the covenant, central to being a disciple is charity. Charity is the foundation. Many of us think that, I must be perfect to be saved. I tell you, God doesn't want perfect people. He only wants loving people. That is why, you see, love conquers evil. Perfect love casts out sin. Love covers a multitude of sins. The scripture says that. Love saves. Not we trying to be perfect. Love is the saving grace. In our effort to love, we don't let the love die in us. That is what God will judge us by. And that's how God will save us. Okay? So that is why, you see, love has to be lived, love has to be shared. And some see Jesus in the other, see first in the other, and then they do good. There are others who may do good first, then they see Jesus. See, the two ways people work. Sometimes we know, hey, Jesus is in everybody, so I do good. Some do good first, then they see Jesus. Okay? If a Hindu is a good man, or a Buddhist, or a Muslim good man, he doesn't see Jesus yet. What? He do good first, and then Jesus appears to him. See? So we know about Jesus. So it's easier for us to do good. Okay? But others do good first, and then they meet or encounter the Jesus. So that is God's problem and their problem. Okay. So you find that it's better. It's better to do just do it. It doesn't matter which side. Just do it. This is the good thing to do. Do it. If I don't do, no one else is going to do. That's the attitude of the Samaritan, If I don't step in, who's going to save him? I step in. I go and do something. And that is what the good Samaritan did. Okay? So today, the appeal is be aware of the hungry, the thirsty, the stranger, the naked, the sick, the prisoners. If your eye meets this person on your way, it means if your eye sees it, it means God is telling you, do something about it. If it strikes your eye, that is why you see, we cannot say I didn't see, When our eyes see this kind of situation, I must masuk. I must go in a day. I must enter. So desire to hear the words of God who said, you did it to me. When you do it, you did it to me. So Pope Francis, just recently to the Caritas Internationalist, he said, what is charity? Sometimes we think charity must be, must have money, then only can do charity. Charity is not a sedative for a restless conscience. We are very disturbed, go and do something good. No. It is not also a business, he said. He's not talking a lot about charity, but and live in luxury. How can be a contradiction? So there must be moderation in my life. There must be simplicity in my life. Uh, Sometimes charity means organizing a lot of meetings, meeting after meeting. Now, not enough. Now, Zoom meeting very easy. Many Zoom meetings now everywhere, talking about charity. Huh? Uh, And you find that I'm wasting so much money sometimes on charity. Charity is not an idea, he says. It's not a pious feeling, but an experiential encounter with Christ where we meet him in the poor. When you meet the poor, you meet Christ. It's an experience. Mother Teresa, one day, she was cleaning a very dirty old man on the streets. And together they were cleaning, and the moment he was already dying, his eyes were closed. And that moment, while he was cleaning him and washing him, the man's eyes opened. Man, and he looked straight into her eyes. She said, Jesus, look into me. She just said that, man. She told her sisters, Jesus looked into me. She saw the Jesus in that dirty old man. See? And that is what it is, See? Be able to see the Jesus in the poor. So let us recognize that we have a caring God who wants a caring people. And he wants a caring people for this very indifferent world.